Welcome once again, everybody, to Blockbuster Mentality, the show where we dive deep into the world of cinema. I'm your host, Ben Secord, and today Dave and I welcome once again Matt Secord, our guest today, to discuss and review The Last Jedi, the latest Star Wars film. The IMDb synopsis for the film reads, Rey develops her newly discovered abilities with the guidance of Luke Skywalker, who is unsettled by the strength of her powers. Meanwhile, the Resistance prepares to do battle with the First Order. Totally excited to talk about this film, have a lot to say about it, which I'm sure you guys do as well. So sit back, relax, let's talk some Star Wars.
The Last Jedi, Episode 8, follows the blockbuster of The Force Awakens. There's a lot going on in this movie, a lot of good, a little bit of bad here, but there's a lot going on. I can't wait to get into this movie. I'm very excited. We're about a week after the release. Ben, what do you think of this movie?
Okay. So, yes.
I mean, first, how many times have you seen this?
I've seen it twice now.
Okay,
I've
just
seen it
once
twice,
for me.
Two times. Once for Matt here. Yeah, I'm definitely very interested to see what you think, because I know how you feel about Force Awakens,
Yeah.
which we're obviously going to do a show on soon. So it'll be interesting to see your take on this, a follow-up to a movie you weren't too fond of. But you said you saw it once, Matt?
I saw it once. I'm going to see it again soon, but...
Yeah. I cannot emphasize enough how much a second watch helps. So you asked me how I like this movie. When I first got out of this film, I'm not gonna lie, had an empty feeling.
Yeah,
I was a little empty just because the ending for both Force Awakens and Rogue One just leave you feeling just. I don't know, just tingles and chills and everything like that. Where this, I was just. Oh, that's the ending. Like, it didn't grab me as much as those two films, so it wasn't fair of me to assume that this movie would have that as well.
Yeah.
So when I saw it a second time, though, I was able to just appreciate everything and just, take it for what it was, and that ending really got to me the second time around, which we'll talk about. And this is a full spoiler where everything's on the table. So if you haven't seen the movie and don't want anything ruined for you, stop listening.
for sure.
Go away.
And listen to another episode of ours. That's okay. But yeah, again, an empty feeling at first. I liked it. I wanted to like it more, but obviously I'll get into more detail about those feelings.
Well, I think it's warranted because there's some decent amount of emptiness in this movie. There are parts of it that could have easily been cut. It's kind of a long movie.
Probably a half hour could have been cut.
Yeah.
I mean, there's actually a whole sort of subplot that could probably have been just snipped out altogether, which would have saved half hour, 45 minutes that actually went nowhere. I mean, the Finn and Rose story goes nowhere at all.
It was a waste.
And neither one of these characters are compelling. In my opinion, at least in this movie. We can maybe argue Force Awakens, but Finn is a non-entity in this movie, really.
Yeah.
Other than to see, some things happen in their little quest or whatever, and it didn't really make me feel. Even though when they went to the casino planet, was it Canto Bight or
Canto Bight?
Yeah, that was cool, and I like the scene where the camera first rolls into the casino. That was great. I like that, but it didn't make me care for these characters anymore. Just having a personal story about those horse creatures, whatever. So none of that mattered to me, and it ultimately failed. So you're going to take me on this detour that just goes nowhere.
Well, yeah. Again, that I still had problems with it the second time. The second time I watched it, I appreciated it more, basically because of the broom kid. That whole aspect.
That was my chills.
Yeah. So how did you feel like walking out of this movie?
Yeah. Initial thoughts.
Thoughts was I had built it up so high in my head that there was no way it was going to match it. So I knew it was not, because every answer I wanted, no answers. But
more confusion in some ways.
But when the kid grabbed the broom and then had the rebel ring on, I mean, I literally had goosebumps all the way up my body.
Yeah, that was nice.
But I think the expectations made it so I didn't feel chills at that moment the first time I saw it, just because I thought there was going to be more. Right. I thought there was going to be something recognizable at the end, because it's just this kid that we saw once in the movie that I really didn't get much out of. But that second time, I can totally get how you would have felt that way.
Yeah, that to me, the way it ended, we'll talk about it, I'm sure. But the way it ended, and then to show that kid, it just showed that everything continues on.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the Resistance started the movie with a whole base. They had a base on a planet.
Yeah.
They had a whole fleet, bombers and everything. Ends the movie where the remaining resistance / rebellion can fit on the Millennium Falcon. That's how it ends.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're
trying to make their way off this planet.
Empire in the old movies, the Empire won and Empire Strikes Back. So
yeah,
First Order wins this
They
movie.
should definitely win, and this was just even more of a hit.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show. I mean, even we'll get into the Luke stuff, obviously, but yeah, just Luke. It tells me that this, no matter what, there's always going to be that spark of hope, that spark of that will light the flame that takes down whatever evil there is.
One thing I learned to go back to Matt's point about expectations. I think after seeing this one, I kind of just am bringing my expectations much, much lower. At least for sagas, these trilogies.
Yeah.
I don't think right now, at least, they're capable of making a great movie in a trilogy right now. I think you can do good in one-offs, but there's so much. I'm watching this movie, and I just feel Disney all around. I feel like this movie has got input from. There's so much stuff they need to satisfy. Where did Rian Johnson really have the freedom to make the movie that he wanted? Was someone over his shoulder? Was he getting input from this guy and that guy? And
Right.
we need this to happen here. It feels like the thing has kind of gotten a bit too big for itself. And unless they do those exploratory movies where they can kind of be left alone, like Rogue One could have failed and it would have been fine. It would have just been a little movie. But I think it turned out to be a gem. There's no pressure on that. For this movie, there's an enormous amount of pressure, and it makes it very difficult. So I just have to take a step back. It's not even a knock, really, just to say, I don't think I can expect this to happen. At least not for a while.
Yeah.
Until they're maybe clear of the characters that we know, and they're able to create a fresh story, can maybe something truly great happen again. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of the lesson I learned from this movie.
One quote I heard from Mark Hamill was that he said he was fundamentally against everything that Luke was in this movie, but he said he was trusting Rian Johnson with the story. So I think Rian Johnson had more leeway than Disney controlling it all. I think it was because there were some things that I don't think Disney would have totally allowed, but once Rogue One came out, we saw everything's out the window. Disney will let anything happen.
That's how I feel. I mean, the main aspects that I felt with Disney was the humor. That felt
way too much.
Yeah, it was just out of place. It felt like a Marvel movie most of the time.
The Marvelization. That's kind of what I'm feeling here.
Yeah.
Actually, the beginning, I do want to say, so Poe shows up in an X-Wing with a dreadnought, just this massive ship, and then he was like, hello, and General Hux, who's I think is terrible. Terribly cast, terribly acted.
He was bad in this movie.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad, but it's just he was over
I agree.
animated.
They're doing a bit like, I can't hear you on the phone, I'm just stalling, and then he just goes and shoots out all these cannons. I was like mad at the movie for this. I don't even know what happened for like the next 8 to 10 minutes because I was just so pissed off at that scene.
Yeah. It didn't have a place in Star Wars. It didn't feel like a Star Wars movie at all.
The whole movie didn't feel like a Star Wars movie with the jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
The jokes.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying way too hard here.
Yeah.
Right.
And we learned that from The Empire Strikes Back. There's humor, but it's just a little bit. It's just a quip. It's a remark, or you let the actors just say something off the cuff, and then you keep it.
A lot of people like the Chewbacca scene where he's going to eat a porg. Right, a lot of people liked it, but then you go all Puss in Boots with the one porg with the big eyes, all sad, and everything.
Puss in Boots.
I don't know, it's just too much. I don't know, too cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, I even enjoyed that scene a little more than I thought I would. I enjoyed the porgs more than I thought I would actually.
I didn't mind them, but this is screen time, and it's not telling a story. It's just doing fluff, and if you just, I don't know, you're at the point where you just need to make the audience laugh the best you can. I don't know.
And what you were saying with like expectations and stuff, I mean, should we? Obviously, we know a next movie is going to come out, so I almost feel like it's like let's wait till the next movie comes out to see if like this movie is enhanced. But should we really have to do that?
I don't think so.
I mean, it's...
But we don't have that benefit of watching Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi in succession.
Right.
So we can't really say for sure. But, I got to judge the movie as you see them, right? You can't just
true.
can completely give them the benefit of the doubt. I agree.
So let's just talk about let's just dive into the movie and kind of how we do with our analysis shows. Just kind of just go almost scene by scene, but just kind of get the key points. I mean, so that beginning scene with the whole space battle with the bombers and everything. How did you guys feel? I mean, besides the jokes and stuff, what were your thoughts on that?
I saw red and I just didn't care. I was just waiting for it to all be over. I was waiting for the next
all because of the humor.
It was just so. And then what? An X-wing is going to take on this thing, and they don't have TIE fighters at the ready. What is this? You're just going to let this guy mess with you over the intercom and not scramble anything? We'll wait till he's taking all our turrets before we do anything? It's just ridiculous.
I actually was surprised. I loved the humor in that part. That was one of the few times in the movie where I actually liked the humor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as soon as that movie started, it was supposed to be right on Tacto or whatever you call it. Octu, yeah, that too. It was supposed to be right there, Rey handing the lightsaber to Luke. I have no idea how it started this way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I loved the scene. I loved the whole fight. The bomber thing at the end was kind of dumb, but...
Yeah, I mean, I was able to look past that humor, and they kind of explain how the TIE fighter or the X-wing was able to get in there. It's too small to detect, but yeah, at the same time, it's like, what are those big guns for? If that's the case,
it's
boom.
But
there would be no reason to ever build a ship that big if you can just fly an X-wing and kill it. It just makes no sense.
But for entertainment value, I think it was an exciting way to start the film for me, and I liked that bomber sequence because it brought tension to the movie, and it brought especially when she kind of almost knew she was going to die, but she still knew she needed to drop these bombs and destroy the dreadnought.
That was good. That was like a heroic personal moment to do what she could to fulfill her mission. But this thing with Poe, it's so dumb, and then it ruins him for the rest of the movie because now he's like basically like, I don't know, an outcast for the whole rest of the movie. So you get this like inconceivable action scene that should have never started, and then he's like sidelined, and his whole interaction with Leia and the purple-haired Laura Dern, I'm like, what is going on here?
I think that's kind of development for him. I think that's kind of
he's got to learn.
He's this gung-ho guy who just does things on a whim, does things on his own, and he's got to learn, and that's what he did at the end. He learned. He's learning to become that leader.
They were training him.
Is needed. Yeah,
I'd like to see him do more than
that's what I took from it.
He just do sabotage and stuff like that. I don't know. He wasn't really. He's capable. I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean
if it is,
say what you got to say.
Even if that's true, I don't think it's a good way to start it because the scene was so absurd. At least he should learn a lesson in a way that's done a little bit better. So
they've established what a great pilot this guy was in The Force Awakens. They established that, and to go into other things, they've established it in the comics as well, which is part of the Star Wars universe. They've established how good of a pilot this guy is, so that made it just more believable to me that he was able to do this. Not any X-wing could have done this. Maybe Luke could have back in his prime, with X-wings. Maybe he could have done it, but so that made it for me. And even the jokes. I mean, they established in The Force Awakens that this guy, the jokes that Poe Dameron made with Kylo, his very first scene. Who talks first? You talk first. I talk first. Like that was his very first scene in Force Awakens. So I mean, that just it fell in line with his character that they built in Force Awakens. So that's why it worked for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I get the silliness. Like, yeah, what's this big ship for if an X-wing can just fly in?
So I'm just once that basically was like a poisoned fruit for me.
So I mean, then again, maybe the second time you'll be like, all right, this is going to happen. You'll be able to enjoy. You'll be able to enjoy it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that all happens, and then you got the whole Finn silly thing with him, and didn't really care for that, the Finn naked leaking, as BB-8 said. Again, I enjoyed that space battle, and then Finn says, "Where's Rey?" And then boom, we finally get to the end of The Force Awakens where Rey's handing him the lightsaber.
The moment Matt has been waiting for.
I've been waiting for 2 years.
Tell us what happens and how you felt about it.
I expected Luke to hold the lightsaber. He almost looked like he was crying at the end of Force Awakens. So he's holding the lightsaber, and I expect him to go, embrace...
Say something.
Yeah, say something, embrace Rey. And what does he do? throws it off the mountain. I mean, the crowd cracked up. I was at the very first viewing at 7 p.m. I mean, the crowd cracked up, thought it was hilarious, and I was just like, what the...
Yeah.
You know, what happened here? But
because it moves really right from. I mean, like you were saying, if it did what you thought,
Right.
which is, or expected or hoped, whatever, from The Force Awakens to this, there would have been because it is a very dramatic moment, and probably the best Daisy Ridley is in The Force Awakens, in my opinion. And then that interaction, and then to give it to him. And you expect something more than just to. I mean, anything. Even if
Especially to tease us with
Right.
that ending.
They
like it's
totally-
the first. I mean, I guess Empire was kind of a cliffhanger, but that is like the biggest cliffhanger in Star Wars ever from movie to movie.
It's absurd, and it's supposed to be like a tension reliever, but like actually at that point, I don't even believe it built up very much. It just sort of went right into it, right? And
that was another problem, was how much everyone talked about it, right?
Right.
So it was almost like Disney or Rian Johnson said, we're going to look at every fan theory and say, throw it out the window.
I kind of like that, though. I mean, I kind of like that.
I mean, you shouldn't know how a movie's going to go.
Yeah,
but
exactly. They shouldn't just, the fans think this should
Right.
happen, let's do this.
Right.
So I'm glad we were surprised with
But at the same
certain
time,
things that happen in the movie.
I don't think he should have been throwing the lightsaber.
So I'm I mean, I'm leaning towards the side of it almost seemed just disrespectful to the passionate fans. Just like,
it's not even. I don't even think that. It's just silly. It's ridiculous. I
Makes
mean,
no
he's
sense.
being too cute. It's totally nonsensical.
If anything, I would like him to just like kind of just like.
What if he just
if
threw it
that's
to the ground?
The direction you wanted to go, threw it to the ground, or just like
Gave it
kinda,
back to her.
or just kind of like walked like furiously away and just like kind of shoved it back in her arms.
Seriously.
Like do something like that.
If he grabbed it, threw it to the ground with one hand, and said, "That's not me anymore," and just walked away, that would have been
It's like okay, we get it.
yeah,
Like, okay.
1,000 times better. But
Right.
just a ridiculous like
Yeah.
it's like
That irritated me, and it still irritates me. So yeah,
and then the porgs were all over the lightsaber.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then another thing I want to mention there. I mean, so he basically is just walking away from her, and she's like watching him do different things, trying to say, "Hey, Mr. Master Skywalker, I'm here," you know, and he's doing stuff. So it shows you basically is the day in the life of Luke Skywalker.
I thought that was cool when when he goes to the cliff and he like
That was cool.
yeah, he gives that like smirk, you know, he's
Yeah.
got that look to his
And
face.
then
That
like
was
even
the
like
only
the
thing that
fish,
was cool.
he gets the fish and he's
Right.
like carrying it on his back in the
Yeah.
rain. That's cool.
That was awesome.
But he also gets the milk.
That was
That was totally unnecessary.
Yeah, what's going on
What
with
is
this
up with
creature that he goes- and
Well,
he-
first of all, they show it. It's got like it's got
boobs.
boobs.
I almost felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, there's boobs. I was like,
like-
that's really weird. So I was just like, all right, whatever. And then next scene, milk in the boobs. Luke is. Out comes green milk.
Yeah,
What is that?
Totally.
Like, are you kidding me?
not needed.
Like that at that moment, it got me a little worried.
Yeah.
For the
One
rest
thing
of the
I
movie.
read was someone said, "Well, this is how we learn where the blue milk comes from." It was green.
Yeah, it was
It,
green.
it
and
didn't make any sense,
That-
but at the same time, it's just like,
It's Bantha's.
Why?
By the way, the blue milk. Well, in Legends, not canon.
yeah.
Bantha Poodoo. Sorry.
But
But yeah, that's just
was-
it's gratuitous, it's strange, it just
Yeah.
makes no sense. And then he like mocks her as he's drinking it. It's
Right.
like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, weirdo. Like I get it, I guess.
And then, but I love the scene. Then you know, she's trying to get him, knocking on his door and stuff, and then, you know, he's just like, "Go away, get out of here," blah blah blah, and then the door just flies open. I don't know about you guys. I thought that was Rey using the
Oh,
Force.
totally.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow, all right. I guess that's the direction they're going with her. But who is it? It's Chewie. That I love that. I love that it was Chewie that knocked to the door.
Yeah,
and
that was
he's
nice.
like Chewie, and then
Because he didn't know Chewie was there, right?
No.
no, yeah, he wouldn't. That's why he was like, Chewie, what are you doing here?
Right, that was just him. Yeah,
and that's
that
when
was his introduction.
You know, I forget what exactly they bring up, but then he's like, "Where's Han?"
I think that's
All
the very
worried.
first word he says.
What?
Chewbacca comes in, makes a noise or whatever, and then Luke instantly says, "Where's Han?"
No, he says because he says, "Where's hi Chewie," and then he says, "Where Han?"
Okay.
But yeah,
But
basically
yeah, that,
the first words.
that was
yeah.
the best. That was one of the best parts of the movie to me.
What am I being?
yeah, this, quibbling over. Like,
That was one of the touching moments of the movie.
Yeah,
it was
they,
nice.
they had to
It's like,
acknowledge
oh.
somehow they had to acknowledge Han Solo's death because it happened near the end of Rogue One,
Right.
or at the end of Force
Force
Awakens.
Awakens, yeah.
And then this movie is directly after it. It seems.
Yep.
and it was nice that they at least acknowledged it.
Yeah, and their
definitely.
friendship it's real. I mean, especially Chewie, Han, Luke, obviously, and we know this from from essentially The Empire Strikes Back on. These people really care for each other, and it's very obvious, and they'll do whatever they can for one another. And it is emotional just to see just to see Luke and Chewie, just to see one another. How long has it been, right?
Right,
20 years?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I really appreciated that. And then I like how, again, Finn said, "Where's Rey?" and they pop to the Rey scene, and then Luke says, "Where's Han?" and they jump to Kylo Ren, which obviously killed Han. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Force Awakens. And then Kylo Ren is going up the elevator or whatever he's in, and he's going to Snoke's throne room. Mm-hmm. What did you guys think of Snoke and the CGI and Andy Serkis, his performance? What's
I have to say thanks for nothing. You showed me.
Well,
Go
but
ahead.
the acting and the way he looked, I thought it was great. All the way until, I don't know if we're talking about it now, but all the way until...
Yeah, he gets killed.
Right.
Might as well. I mean,
Yeah.
what,
all the way until he gets killed, I loved Snoke. I loved it.
I like the voice. I don't know what it was. He human? I don't even know.
We still don't know.
They say I've read humanoid.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's like,
Humanoid, yeah.
maybe he was inbred.
Oh, maybe. Well, I thought I liked the CGI was not as good. I don't know why, but it's Andy Serkis, so I like the voice and all that, and I like the psychological play between, because you expected more coming out of this from The Force Awakens, because you got just kind of a taste of Snoke, and you're like, okay, I'm going to learn more about this character, and then they just kill him.
Right.
So
That was one of the biggest disappointments.
Yeah.
That's probably the number one thing that bothers me about this movie is I have no idea who this guy was.
I've made peace with it. Again, that's one of the main things when I walked away from it the first time was just that my main takeaway is I was pissed that they killed Snoke. Like, I wanted to know more about this guy.
I still am.
Again,
yeah.
what did we know about the Emperor, before the prequels? We knew nothing. We saw him in a hologram the first movie, just like we saw Snoke. And then the second movie he was in, he gets killed at the end without knowing anything about him other than he's mean and he's powerful. And that's exactly what's happened with Snoke. So, I mean, it was all fan-made hype.
No, that's not true, because we get far much more of the Emperor. I mean, we get very little of Snoke here.
I don't know. I'd like to see the actual
Jedi
screen time for
Screen
both
time, I bet
characters.
you it's the same.
He's
He's not in it much in Jedi. He
in
walks.
like the last 45 minutes
No.
almost.
No, because they're going back and forth between Endor and
He
and
walks.
the
He
Emperor,
walks in with Darth Vader at the
Yeah.
beginning, and then
We don't see him till
Luke's brought to him. They talk for like a couple minutes. They go to the battle on Endor, and then they come back to him, and he's zapping Luke and throwing over the.
Yeah, I
into
mean,
the reactor.
but yeah, I mean, he might be in it a little longer, but I think, I mean, it's basically the same amount of time. But I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. It's like, this is definitely fan made hype of who's Snoke, he's got to be somebody. It's like, is that what you were saying about the Emperor back then? So I mean, it's like, that's why I've kind of thinking I've been
Social media didn't exist in the 80s.
That's very true. But for me, Snoke, I was every time Snoke was on screen, I loved it.
Yeah.
I like the CGI. I like Andy Serkis, especially when he was going off on Kylo about let someone who's never held a lightsaber beat you, and then Kylo Ren's about to get up and he just zaps him. I loved that part. The only time the CGI was iffy was when he first stood up and was walking.
Maybe
I
that's
was
what
like,
it was.
that doesn't look
And
right.
I think maybe the red background didn't work.
Yeah, that was weird. The whole red room.
Yeah, it would have been better if it was just black and he was almost in a spotlight or something like that. I think it would have looked much better.
Maybe they were trying to not make it like the Emperor because the Emperor had the space behind him. You remember?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's what was throwing me off. But and then the lightsaber battle here is good, and our lovely Rey gets bailed out yet again by Kylo Ren saves her ass. And then,
but then she has to fight the Praetorian Guard.
Yeah, she can battle Kylo Ren to a stalemate. So without ever holding a lightsaber.
A wounded Kylo Ren,
yeah.
And she has experience with a staff that she's had to use.
A master staff wielder. Okay.
Is that your
Who's
main?
she fighting in this on Jakku with her staff? What? Just a couple of
Well, you saw
rejects?
her when Finn first saw her, getting those.
Finn,
But again, it was
okay.
they made a point to show you how Okay, so you're not going to be open-minded here. They made a point in Force Awakens to show you how powerful that crossbow was. 3 different scenes they show how powerful that crossbow was. Kylo Ren gets shot in the kidneys and is bleeding to death.
He does,
when
but
he's
even
fighting
aside
Rey.
from that, she matches him on force power like immediately. So it didn't even matter how.
You know what the title of the film is, right?
The Force Awakens.
It awakens, and the lightsaber called to her, just like Maz Kanata said.
Sure did.
But anyways, we're talking about Last Jedi.
We'll talk about that on another show.
The bailout, I wouldn't
Absolutely,
necessarily.
Snoke could have just killed her easily, and then Kylo Ren bails her out. And I texted you this before I saw it.
Darth Vader probably could have killed Luke easily, especially in Empire.
Especially.
Yeah, but that wasn't what he was trying to do. I mean,
Well, it wasn't in the script.
And
wasn't in the script. That wasn't where the movie was
and
going.
again, back to Force Awakens. Kylo was not trying to kill Rey. He was trying to capture her.
Mm-hmm.
He was not trying to kill Rey. And again,
She was like kicking his ass. Okay.
no, watch that scene again because she was not kicking his ass.
Well, she matches him in the Force with no problem, with no trading. I mean,
Why would you need training for that kind of stuff?
why did Luke need training to lift a rock? I mean, he had the Force. That makes no sense.
Why was Luke able to destroy the Death Star after just
Because he just
zapping-
closed his eyes and
Doop,
he
doop.
believed. I don't know.
After just
But that's just like
she closed her eyes after he said, "You know the Force," and then she said "Force," and then she closed her eyes and realized, "Oh, I do have this Force in
Luke
me." And
actually
that's when
did
she
some
was able to
training
do
though.
that.
He was doing the
No, he
lightsaber.
didn't. He
and
just
the-
did
That's what I said.
3 seconds.
Do.
That was
Oh,
it.
I do feel that flowing through me. That is
That's
only
just some
training
hokey
from
religion.
Obi-Wan.
He got some thoughts of what this whole
Okay,
thing
we're not
was
battling.
about.
We're not battling about.
But did you
Awakens.
enjoy the action scene against the guards?
Yeah, that was cool.
That was
awesome.
really cool.
Okay,
I love that.
The ending where
catches the lightsaber and then turns it on.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's awesome.
But no, I do want to get to one thing.
Yeah.
Because I texted you before I saw this movie, and I said, here's to hoping that Kylo Ren has a redemption and that Rey goes bad. Which, to me, would have been the most interesting thing could happen to these characters. Because she's had it very easy, in my opinion. So for her to turn bad would be really cool. And for him to actually not continue being bad and to have a moment of redemption, which he kills Snoke, but then just says, well, join me, and it's the same Vader line, right? So then nothing really happens other than she just gets freed. So she gets captured, and then she gets to leave. And then he's back to being bad. And we're like, okay. Well, I was hoping for more here. Well, I mean, I can't expect the movie to do what I wanted to do.
Well, I
but,
mean, he just killed the bad guy. Okay, so the audience
just
is on
wants to
this
be
roller
the-
coaster. Yeah, exactly. So I
but
mean,
a bad guy that we don't know anything about, that we don't really
But we know
have too much to
we
care
know
about.
he's the supreme leader.
again, what did we know about the Emperor?
That he was bad.
Exactly.
But no, that's because we loved Vader though. We had already loved Vader, so the Emperor was almost like a side character until it was really all about Vader. This one, I guess, it's supposed to be all about Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We don't. I would hope we don't care about Kylo Ren to the level that we cared about Vader, right?
I like him.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's no Vader, but I actually like the direction they took. I mean, it seemed like, oh wow, okay, so he's good now. Where are they going to go from here? And then
he does the whole.
He gave his whole agenda. Go ahead.
I was to say it's the whole. The only problem was it was the whole Vader and Luke thing.
Yeah.
Join me,
Right,
we
exactly.
can rule the galaxy together. Basically the same thing,
Yeah.
and the same thing in The Empire Strikes Back. That's when that happened,
Right.
And then all of a sudden, that's those people will say. Now in Last Jedi, we've
No,
got
that's fine.
Last Jedi, we've got Kylo trying to get Rey to join
Yeah,
him.
which she didn't.
She didn't.
Luke didn't.
Luke
obviously,
didn't either.
Right.
But well, what I appreciate at the end was, well, let's get okay.
Let's move on.
Let's
Yeah.
move on. So I mean, the Luke stuff. I mean, obviously, we learn a little bit more about why Luke is the way he does. I love that he brings up about when the Jedi were powerful, they let Darth Sidious rise to power and
Yeah.
destroy them.
And this hits on the stuff that you and I
Jedi
talked
trained Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
We've talked about this stuff for the last 3 episodes.
Yeah,
right?
we talked about it for our Return of the Jedi episode. Was just like, the Jedi don't have it, all right. They think they do, but
Right.
look at all the stuff that happened. It was awesome to see that they.
I like that a lot.
Luke's
I mean,
mentality.
yeah, the Luke you're and the Yoda stuff, which you're going to get into, right?
Amazing.
It's
Yeah.
brilliant. It is like the best of Star Wars.
Definitely. Well, in one of the, in that, same part, he's talking to Rey. I love that he says, paraphrasing, but he says, if the Jedi die, if the light dies, the light doesn't die if the Jedi die. That's vanity to think that way.
Right.
I loved that.
Yeah, it's like we don't have to have this order, these rules, this like semi-religious sort of thing to be able to tap into the Force, right? We can still fight for good without being these being a Jedi, being this strict thing, which was like what we said in these other episodes. This thing didn't work very well, right? As you know, Yoda's the wisest and best ever, but he was wrong a lot.
Yeah,
and continuously wrong. And he was brilliant, and he was, the strongest, and so, yeah, I mean, maybe it does need to die, like Kylo Ren actually says, right? Kill the past, or whatever he says.
Yeah, kill the past.
I almost felt like that was a message to the viewers that we're killing.
Well, I mean, it's true. I mean, well, why do you want just the same Star Wars to happen over and over again? Like, expand it. Like, I liked that they expanded the mythology with the projections.
Yeah, there was a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I had thought when Snoke choked Hux that it was different, but then I realized that Vader had done that before. But the way he did it was hologram. But the way he did it was different because his hologram was facing him this way, and then all of a sudden jumped to this way, so it was cool.
Yeah,
the way it was laid out.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I didn't even think of that because I was thinking like, oh, how is he able to do that? But yeah, Vader did
done
the exact same thing. So
it was cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So we see this cycle of rebels fleeing and maybe mounting a counterattack, and then either the Empire or the First Order, having this planet-destroying weapon. Is this cycle going to end? Are we going to get past this in some way, or at least move into something else? And I know this is Star Wars. I get it. But do you know where I'm going here? Are we going to get into something? Do they have to just completely kill everyone that could possibly be about the First Order and the Empire and that ideology or something like that, so that there can be? It's like this is never ending, right? It's like we're gonna run away and then we're gonna beat them, and then 20 years later they're gonna regroup and then they're gonna chase us out and we're gonna die and then we're gonna beat them, and then it's like, all right, I get it now, right? We're just cycling back around, and I don't have a problem per se with it, but I'm maybe this is part of what they're trying to set the stage for in this movie, is that we're going to try to break out of this mold a little bit. I don't know.
Well, that's why part of the reason I like what the risks they took in this movie, just like with the Force and what it can do. So I'm glad they expanded that, because it's like, why do we want just the same thing over and over again? Just like, are you going to do something a little different here? Like, what's the deal? So, I mean, yeah, with the Empire and stuff.
I don't know where they go. I don't have an answer for it.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, again,
maybe the light and dark have to work together.
Yeah, that's what they're
trying to do.
Yeah, that's what I thought when this movie came out. Like, I thought, everything was just going to kind of meet in the middle, dark and light, and just meet in the middle. There's no Jedi.
Because Luke felt
Sith.
like the Jedi have to end for this all to bring peace and peace to the galaxy, like the Jedi wanted. They have to end. So maybe they have to work together, and we're going to get something different than some other group comes.
Right, yeah.
Well, and I love it because
it's like we've seen this, right? But with Matt's point, though, the light and the dark working together, does that mean Kylo Ren and Rey are in a romance?
I don't think a romance, but
I mean, that's the light and the dark coming together.
We still don't really know who Rey is. I don't believe what Kylo said.
I don't either. I don't trust him.
I do not believe what Kylo
especially
said.
because we know what his agenda was that whole time. Because at first you're like, okay, he's turning good. And then when he finally killed Snoke, he's like, okay, he's definitely turning good. And then when he turned it around and then told her about her parents and stuff, I was like, he's probably just telling her that to join him. Like, okay, you're nobody, so just join me. So it's like,
you don't know, but it's hard to trust him there.
But
it's true though that the biggest Jedi and bad guys or whatever have been nobodies. Anakin was born, mysteriously to this woman as a slave, and then Luke was living as a moisture farmer on Tatooine as a nobody, and he's the greatest Jedi now, maybe. So maybe Rey is a nobody.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like that idea, but maybe it's true.
Well, I was just hoping. Like they killed off Snoke, and then right after that they tell you that Rey's parents are nobody. It's like, if you're not going to give us one answer, at least give us another.
Yeah.
So that kind of.
So maybe that was part of doing the.
I think he's lying.
Yeah, I hope so.
I suspect it as well.
We haven't even talked about this yet. While I'm still on that train of thought, I liked how Rey, even about expanding the Force and stuff, Rey even said after Luke asked her about, what is the Force? And she said, you can control people with your mind and lift rocks and stuff. And that's basically our understanding of the Force. Like, yeah, that's basically what you do. That's what the Force is. But then he said, everything you said in that sentence is wrong, or everything you just said is wrong. And I appreciate that, because it's like, there's more to it as we find out at the end, what you can actually do with this Force. So I thought that was cool. I don't think I talked about you. I don't think I've talked to you about this yet. What would you think about Leia in space?
Oh God!
For someone that's so critical, I didn't mind this that much.
Interesting.
It was odd, but I did mention this in another episode. Maybe it was the Jedi one, or maybe I think it was Jedi, where we didn't see Leia do anything in her whole screen time. We knew she was powerful. She was as powerful as Luke, supposedly.
We didn't see her do anything, but
she was
still
a leader.
loved the character, and the presence she had.
Right, but we didn't get to see her on screen have Leia do some amazing thing, because the movie ended and then she became an old woman.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked seeing some display of power by her, of her actually tapping into the Force and doing something, showing some strength.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we just never saw. But on an island, seeing that scene was weird. But only because it was Leia would I accept that. You know what I mean?
That's exactly how I feel. I mean, that scene on paper is amazing.
Yeah.
It's just the execution of it just seemed looked silly.
I didn't know what was going. Yeah, it did look weird.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the main problem I had with
and
it.
I don't
just
know
the
why.
look of it.
Why did it look weird? I don't know. It's hard to.
It looked like Superman, or was it the first Guardians of the Galaxy when Star-Lord is in space dying, and somehow
look like that. Yeah.
And I had a friend that, she likes Star Wars, but she was like adamant that this was a scene for scene remake of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
Marvelization of Star Wars.
That's what she kept saying, and I'm like, I don't believe it, but I haven't seen the number 2 yet.
I do believe it. I really do. It's happening. I mean, just not that she's right about this scene, but in general, I did feel that.
Again, I like the idea of it. I love that she finally used the Force.
Yeah, that she used the Force, because that is canon. Because in the Bloodline, she had learned the Force, but then she had to something changed. But anyway, the whole execution of that scene was terrible. I like that she used the Force, but I wish it was a different way.
Yeah, well, she could always feel it, just like Maz in Force Awakens said, I don't, I'm not a Jedi, but I know the Force.
God, that makes me think a Leia spinoff would be an amazing movie.
Yeah, that's true. I actually would.
I would love to see that.
The problem is, they showed her falling out of the ship, right? That ship exploded.
Yeah,
she should be in pieces or whatever. Admiral Akbar, as our younger brother said, that was the saddest part of the movie, was that he learned that Admiral Akbar actually died.
I agree with I know, right? Yeah, they just totally
they're like, oh, and Admiral Akbar is gone.
we gotta get rid of the past.
Yeah,
we're moving past.
But actually, what would have been, which I'm not going to take credit for this, but on Collider, Christian Harloff said, it'd be much more powerful if like debris was just all over, and she kind of just lifted things off of her, and
like a force.
If she didn't get sucked into space.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been made
cool. If stuff is flying and she can steady herself,
or just even after the explosion, they go in that bridge and things are just on top, and she just kind of lifts. All right, but
she looked almost like a mannequin floating there. Right?
Yeah.
She was like.
She was flying. She was literally Mary Poppins.
Yeah, she was. You're right. The execution was poor.
I was kind of just because obviously Carrie Fisher passed now, so
so I thought that was
kind of that's okay. That's
right. That was I thought that was a good way. Yeah. I thought that was a good way to end her story.
Yeah.
Well, you show her dying.
I just knew it wasn't at first, because it's crazy because they do the explosion and then they go to another scene with Hux on the Star Destroyer.
I was waiting.
I was right. Did Princess Leia just die? What just happened?
I was mad for I missed that whole next scene because I was mad that she died.
I was like, what is going on? And then Admiral Akbar is gone. What did you guys?
Admiral Akbar.
But that just the execution of the scene. What did you guys think of Laura Dern?
Very annoying, very smug. She's like this purple-haired feminist that I see on Twitter harassing Poe. It's that's all I could see.
All I thought was, first I was like, is that lady from Jurassic Park? Who is she? But then at the same time, and then I thought I was transported into Hunger Games.
Yeah,
And
with
she
the hair, yeah.
But then I guess from what I've read now that all these people have reviews and stuff out, is that it makes sense if you read Bloodline.
No, it's the book actually that came out. Same author
Or Leia
came out
or
just
whatever.
recently.
Okay.
Yeah, the Leia Alderaan or something.
But anyway, supposedly it makes sense. But I'm not reading all the books.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
got that time.
Yeah, the idea that you're going to point me to a book that I need to
Right.
read to understand it.
Yeah, some answers should not be done
No,
in a book.
it's
They need to be
ridiculous.
done.
Like
in
I had
a-
no
yeah.
feelings for her because it was just like,
Yeah.
who are you? Why the heck
But-
are you the boss now?
Yeah, exactly. But the hyperdrive scene where she takes out the Snoke ship,
Yeah, that's cool.
that is awesome.
That was cool, but why
was-
couldn't that have happened a while ago?
Well, I know, but
I know,
the
right?
scene
What are they
alone
waiting
just-
right,
for?
like,
You're
just
just
do
losing
it.
transports.
I'm just talking from a. I'm
No,
not.
what a great point.
I'm
here.
not talking about story at this point. I'm talking
Okay.
about just from a filmmaking point of view. Just that scene where it goes
Oh,
and the
that was-
silent
that
cuts
was cool.
per-
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
Perfection.
It's just silence and then
was great.
and then the noise comes.
Yes, that was,
Like,
that
just
was perfect.
amazing.
As J.J. Abrams has taught us, there's no sound in space.
There's no sound in space. Well, and that's the thing. People who are nitpicking that those bombs at the beginning couldn't drop. Oh, how are they dropping the bombs? If it's in space. It's like
Oh,
this is a universe
That's
that a
ridiculous.
slug is a mafia boss.
Right.
A slug is a mafia
Well,
boss, and there's space wizards, and you're gonna complain about gravity?
well, they were.
outta here.
Wait, but weren't they around the planet there? So it actually would
Well,
fall.
the dreadnought is big enough for it to have its
No.
own gravity, anyways.
Well, they could just use this as magnetic.
But
It doesn't
again,
matter.
okay,
It's just
it's-
stupid.
it's-
I mean,
Star Wars.
to
Exactly.
quibble over that is ridiculous.
exactly.
I mean,
thank you.
Thank you. Well, you're not going to fight us on that
So
one.
you love this movie. Thank you. All right.
No, that's a ridiculous amount of nitpicking. That's just I mean, I want to talk about plausibility in some sense, like having
Right, yeah.
having a squad of TIE fighters just surrounding a dreadnought. Hopefully, okay.
Well, that's what
Okay.
I liked that general. I'll get you a beer, Matt.
Thank you.
That general was awesome at the beginning. He's like, we should have had TIE fighters out there 5 minutes ago.
Well, why aren't they just out? Okay, just shut up. You know, because
No, you know what I mean? No,
bad-
no,
bad-
I liked that. I'm just saying, I like that actor.
it's like post. Yeah, the actor's good, but it's like you're just rationalizing. It's something that was dumb and that shouldn't have happened.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Real quickly, let's also talk about the casino scene, the Canto bite.
Why?
Well, I just want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. What did you guys think of Benicio del Toro?
I like him as an actor. I don't care for him in this.
He was. I didn't like him at all.
this little stutter. I don't
Yeah.
know what he's trying
Well,
to
he's
do. here.
known for doing that stuff. You remember Usual Suspects, like
Yeah.
the way he talked, like that. He decided to do that the day of his first scene, and then Bryan Singer just went with it. He's like, all right, yeah, just go ahead and do it.
He's okay, but the plot itself makes no sense. We're gonna smuggle ourselves onto their ship, but travel, across the galaxy.
and it was all for naught because either way,
They didn't even get the right guy.
yeah, yeah, exactly, and they got captured anyways, and
It was too-
everything that happened was going to happen regardless of what Finn and Rose did. But
Right.
you could say that about Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones was not needed.
it didn't
in Raiders
matter.
of the Lost Ark.
well, what I liked about this is I think I mentioned this earlier. As the camera moves in initially to the casino, is a really cool scene.
Stay in the casino longer is my complaint.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. how it
The
moves
initial
in.
scene when it goes in.
Yeah.
Was it? 20 minutes later, we just kick that out.
well, and I liked I liked some of the scenery on the outside. It was like on a beach.
Yeah.
It looked good. It looked nice. It looks like a place where I might want to live. Maybe if I was living in that universe. Then there's a whole thing about they're parking illegally. On
Yeah,
the
that's
beach.
how they
It's
get
like,
captured, a parking ticket.
Wow,
I've never heard of parking tickets in
Jeez.
Star Wars.
In,
like
a southern
Seinfeld.
in a southern accent in Star Wars.
We could start
Oh,
talking.
whatever.
Yeah.
We all could start doing that.
Yeah, I mean, so the only
Wars,
thing
yeah.
I took out of the scene the second time was just that they ran into the broom kid and just showed, this is the symbol of
Well, I
hope.
knew
This is the
that.
symbol. I know. I'm just saying, like that's the only purpose of the scene.
Well, then
is
Rose
for
is
the
like
end.
they have these horse racing creatures, whatever they are, and because they're
That whole-
mistreated,
Yeah.
they have the thing.
The
with me.
CGI was terrible on that.
Yeah, the stampede.
The
and
only
That's why
everything.
you need to join the resistance because they're not nice to these.
The only part
animals
that looked
and they have
good
this,
was running
kids.
through the grass at the end of
Yeah.
the race.
Yeah, that was
Again,
cool.
I like the Finn. I actually kind of liked the Rose character. Just the whole story for me didn't work.
I didn't like any of it.
Really?
Honestly, if
I
Finn
was
and
happy
Rose,
when we'll talk about it on Crate, but I was happy, and then I was sad.
If neither one of these characters showed up in the movie, this would have been a better movie. That's what I want to say.
What did you? Yeah, so I didn't like Benicio del Toro either. By the way, and I loved him
was
as an actor.
so set on Benicio del Toro as someone from Rebels.
Yeah,
I was set on he was Ezra.
I thought he was going to be someone,
and then I was set on.
He would have been a good character as a rebel guy. He would have been great.
and he ended up being the Lando, but even worse than
Not
Lando.
even really, yeah.
So let's talk about the Yoda scene. When he popped up, oh my goodness, because Rey takes off, she's like, if you're not going to help, I got to go.
Yeah.
She is going off to Kylo, and then they stay on Luke. I kind of had a feeling this was happening because they stay on Luke after she takes off. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? And then the camera pans, and you see Yoda's ears. You see the back of Yoda, all glowy and blue.
Just fell on my chair like
that's. I think I literally did a fist bump, like a fist pump. I was so excited to see him. So
I
first
think he
time
looks
around,
the best in this film. I mean, other than maybe seeing him in Empire, but this is the best iteration of Yoda. I think CGI wise,
I just read a story about it today. How they actually had a crate from Frank Oz and whoever the other guy, where it was all they had was a head and one hand, and they made it from that.
Oh, really?
Oh, so it was the actual puppet?
It wasn't the actual puppet. They mocked it.
Oh, okay.
But they had an
scene?
actual head. Yeah, they actually had
the actual puppet
from
the
head
Empire.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, because at first when I saw him, I was like, he looks a little weird. But as the scene progressed, like it got so much better.
And there was like these close-ups on him too, and you see that like that green glow around his head. And
actually,
ears.
when the fire was behind him, he didn't even look like a ghost anymore. It looked like him.
I loved that it was puppet.
Yeah, that whole scene, and I loved how he said, "Luke, you're always looking to the horizon. You're not, seeing what is actually in front of you." Basically, calling back to him, looking out in the sunset.
Are you saying this was a puppet?
Yes,
in this movie,
he was a puppet in this movie.
There was no CGI.
No CGI.
Well, I mean CGI
just
to put the blue around him.
He looked weird at first, but then
as
soon as he started moving, it was he was all puppet this entire time.
It was the same technology as in Jedi and
Empire.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay, well, I thought it was all CGI, honestly.
Zero CGI other than
it was the puppet and Frank Oz, which is awesome.
So I mean, to interrupt, but
Frank Oz
shocking.
had his hand in Yoda,
up his butt.
That's great,
right up to the mouth hole. But yeah, I love that scene because it basically is teaching. We learn stuff through failure, which I think is what people don't get when they say that they ruined Luke Skywalker or blah blah blah. Do you feel but someone that didn't like Force Awakens and stuff, do you feel they ruined Luke Skywalker in this movie?
No, not at all. He was really good in this, and he's exactly what you'd think of as a hermit on an island.
Exactly. Like people just want him to be this hero, this Mary Sue in this movie, but it's like this is 30 years later. Like I don't want him to be the same guy he was 30 years ago. If I'm the same guy as I am now in 30 years from now, God help us.
No, exactly. I mean, but he's scarred. He's gone through a lot, obviously.
Right.
And then we get this, I think, 2 times or 3 times about what happened between him and Kylo Ren.
Right. Well, I like there was like different
they all
aspects
had their own
of that story. Like Luke had his story, and then Kylo had his story, and then we learned the truth. Did you like that? I feel like I need to see if
sure.
We need approval from Dave.
No, I did like it. And I thought at first maybe this is out of character for Luke to maybe have a thought, a temptation to you see the dark side in your nephew. It's like, and I'm gonna just kill him because I'm afraid, not because of something that is him being out of character, but because I know what happens to these people when you don't take care of it early, right? Because we saw Vader, we see the Emperor. Yeah. It's like, that was probably his moment of weakness. It's just going to cost more lives. And if I see that darkness in him where it's going to rise, which it ended up becoming, but it almost became like a self-fulfilling thing. From Luke's perspective, he did the lightsaber, was going to strike him down, was completely horrified by what he did. It was going to stop, and then Kylo sees him.
Right, yeah. He even said, it was just like a fleeting thought. Like in a split second, it was gone.
Do you believe that, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe Luke's side of the story here?
I totally...
no, because the first story he said didn't have anything to do with it. Then
I believed Luke way more than I believed Kylo's story.
So does Kylo have... does he have justification for doing what he did?
I think Kylo really thought that Luke was... I mean, he knew Luke was trying to kill him, but he didn't know that Luke changed his mind.
Right.
But so Luke wanted to kill him. Kylo knew he wanted to kill him. Luke changed his mind, but Kylo didn't know it. And
Yeah, so Kylo
The
was
rest-
like,
yeah.
Kylo, I think that was just like the final straw for Kylo,
Yeah.
because obviously Luke saw the darkness in him.
Yeah, there must have been a lot more going on than we saw because
Well, yeah.
what he's not even like, I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to kill everyone.
Right.
That's you might actually be
And
at that point where maybe Luke should have just killed you.
Exactly.
for a while, I almost thought Rey was one of the kids being trained.
Oh.
Yeah,
what
I
I
mean, that
thought.
would have made sense. Yeah, I mean, that's...
Can I just say one more thing about the Yoda scene?
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah,
I wasn't done with
I jumped
Yoda.
across. I'm sorry.
The whole thing where he talks about, oh, you've seen the Book of the Wills. Dry read, isn't it? Or something.
yeah, he's like, they're not page turners, they are not.
That was one of the comedy parts that I loved.
I liked that
That
too.
was perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Even when he like giggles after he
Yeah.
does the lightning, which is
'cause-
cool now that we know that Force Ghosts can actually do
something.
things,
Yeah.
which is I don't know. I
awesome.
like that. I
It's
think it's
great.
Yeah,
Luke's going to burn the whole thing. Yoda shows up.
Well,
he's
that
like-
that shows the impulsive nature of Luke. He's always been an impulsive person,
Yeah.
leaving from Dagobah. He's done other things too, but that's just one example. But yeah, he's always been an impulsive person. So
That's
just
true, yeah.
His character, he was gonna burn this, just like he was gonna kill Kylo.
Yeah.
Both times he says, "Nah, I shouldn't." So
And
I mean,
then Yoda
that's-
does it.
Yeah, then
So
Yoda-
He's like,
great.
But did you notice that Rey had the books
Yeah,
in
she
the
did,
Falcon?
yeah.
So I
That
mean,
was
that's-
cool.
And Yoda obviously would know that too.
Well,
So that's why Yoda didn't care it was burned, probably. He knew the books were gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why
I
he
never
was
thought
just
of
like,
that.
well, because he even said like the stuff is in that stuff that was in that tree she already possesses, which
Oh,
she literally
Oh, there you
possesses
go.
it.
But I think
again,
even so, though, even if somehow the books were burned, I mean, it's not about what's on the page, right?
right.
It's about how you act in the
I mean that's definitely
the
where he
world.
was going with that for sure. And I like how he says, that's they grow beyond what we are.
right. That's like the
which
curse
is
of a master,
the
or
burden
whatever,
of the
yeah.
master,
or burden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's move on to the end.
Yeah, he's ready to go on to the end. But yeah, I love the Yoda stuff, and yeah, they get on Crate to the salt planet. First of all, the visuals in this are just amazing. I love the red popping up.
Yeah, so this was Hoth but salt.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
true, but
basically,
it was
those
still-
AT-ATs.
it was still pretty cool.
No, it was cool. I liked it a
Those
lot.
AT-ATs serve no purpose, but
No, well,
Other than to just go.
yeah.
but this planet is supposed to be heavily fortified, and we find out it's just kind of a door that
Yeah.
can be blasted through easily. I don't know. It's like,
So yeah, I like how Rey comes in with the Falcon. Actually, Chewie comes with the Falcon. Rey's just the gunner, but Chewie saves the day with the Porgs. Well, saves the day, quote unquote. But go ahead.
I know Dave thought Finn had no story, but the fact that he was willing to just drive right into that big cannon that they have that was going to blow the door open,
Which is
I
great.
think that was Finn's story right there, was just to show that he was totally on the rebellion side
Yeah.
now, or the resistance. He was totally on the resistance side now and was going to just give up his life for it. I love that part.
I agree, actually, and I thought that was the best of Finn in this movie. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I would have loved it if he had continued on his journey.
Well,
'Cause
that was the
he's
thing I
such a-
hated too.
Yeah.
Was Rose looked like she died. She
yeah.
didn't. I was happy she died because I
Then
just
she-
didn't like
she
her.
was so annoying, and then she comes and saves
yeah.
So he's doing the first truly courageous and heroic thing, because he's basically the thing of this character is he's a bit of a coward, right?
Right.
And to Matt's point, this is he puts his head down. He's like, screw it, like I'm willing to give my life for this thing, and she bails him out. It's like, it's just weird. It felt,
Yeah.
It would have been nice, honestly. That would have been a great end to the character if he had been able to take that thing
Because
out.
when Finn was first going into that gunner thing,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're not going to kill him, whatever. And then they stayed on that for a
I
while.
know.
He
He's,
closed
like,
his
burning
eyes.
up, it looks
I
like.
accepted it at
I
that
did.
point.
I
was
totally
just
did.
like, oh wow, they're really doing
It
this.
would have been
They're-
really. It would have
I
been
was
nice.
shocked that they
That
were
would have
really
been-
killing him off.
Yeah, that would have been for me. It would have been so much more emotional, so much more impactful
Yeah.
than what they did. It was
My
like-
thought of that character would have totally changed if they had actually gone through
Maybe
it.
maybe a cutscene he was killed.
yeah, I mean,
Poe was supposed to die in The Force Awakens.
That's true. That
Oh,
is
really?
true.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
Rose, says
She's like, that's not what this is about, or
yeah,
something. I
not
don't know.
it's not about killing the ones we hate. It's about saving the ones we love. But yeah, it looks like Leia even thinks all hope is gone.
We're
They
done.
they call for help from
Nobody
the
answers.
galaxy.
Yeah.
Nobody answers. at that moment when she says there's no hope, or and she sits down, I could have swore you were going to hear something on the radio. Someone was going to be flying in, and it was going to be Lando. I could have swore that I would have been
neon no.
I was actually getting ready. Yeah. I was getting ready to jump up in my seat because that would have been awesome. That would have been a perfect way to introduce Lando. But
yeah, where the hell is Billy D. Williams in these movies?
I know. I'm hoping he's in the next one, especially since Carrie Fisher's dead and obviously Luke's dead now.
And JJ's back.
Bring someone back. But yeah, I could have swore it was him. But it was Luke, which is awesome to see. That last scene with him and Leia
is incredible.
I loved that scene.
Love that, and that's where he explains that I can't bring him back. He's gone. And then you really understand the darkness that is within Kylo, which I appreciate. That they reiterate that, but just that scene, just to see them on screen together, because I was hoping to see Luke and Han one more time together in The Force Awakens, which we didn't get, obviously, but I'm glad we finally got this last scene. What do you guys think?
Well, I love Luke. He's the classic Luke, and Mark Hamill is great at this. He has this kind of arrogance, but quiet arrogance. He's confident. He's
right, yeah.
He's strong. This is like
kind of like when he entered Jedi.
In Return of the Jedi, where he's like, I have this darkness, just a bit of darkness about me, but I'm good and I'm not afraid of you. And that about him, I just loved it. I was at that point, I'm like cheering him. When you talk about moments where you're like pumping your fist, right. I thought like, yes.
When he comes up to Leia and kisses her on the forehead, that gave me chills there too.
Yeah, that was...
Because I think it gave me more chills because I knew Carrie Fisher had died.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just, I don't know, it touched me.
Because you knew they were both thinking about Han.
Right.
Did they even mention it, maybe?
I don't know. He gave her the dice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He gives her the gold dice.
And I like how, she said, somebody's gone, and he said, nobody's ever really gone, or something along, paraphrasing.
Well, because they have that strong connection.
They're twins.
Yeah.
Twinsies.
I mean, they could call each other from across the stars.
That's true.
So. We haven't even talked about that.
What?
About Kylo and Rey talking to each other.
Yeah,
Kylo
and Rey.
There's so much stuff
we never saw that before.
Yeah, never saw. Again,
we saw a little bit of Luke,
in Empire. Yeah,
little bit, but not like they're like in a room together.
Right.
Almost.
They could touch.
Well, which also I like is because. Which goes into what Luke was able to do. Kylo says, when they first get that connection, he says to Rey, "You can't be doing this. This would kill you because she's not powerful enough." So it just goes to show you how much power it takes. What was that?
Well, of course, she's powerful enough. She's the most powerful person of all time. Why are you worried about that?
I think your definition of Mary Sue is way off. But
okay.
but no, I just again, I'm glad he said that line. But anyways,
so Luke shows up. He's ready to face down Kylo Ren.
Yep. He's standing in front of the walkers. Well, real quick, when he leaves Leia with the dice, which I think the dice will probably show up in. Something will be about it in the Han Solo movie, but yeah, I like how he also gets that last interaction with C-3PO and just kind of winks at him. Yeah. And I like the interaction with R2, which we didn't talk about either.
He was like dormant.
Yeah, but I love that moment where he's like, R2? That was like, wow, that's Luke in Empire saying that right now. That was like...
That's amazing. One of my favorite moments because I love those.
We could talk
characters.
hours on this movie.
I know, it's crazy. But like you said, Luke is there to face the First Order. On his own, just like he said at the beginning. You want me to stand there with a laser sword and face down the First Order on my own?
When Luke first showed up to talk to Leia, I noticed.
Yeah, I did
something was off.
Yeah,
like why is his beard brown now?
Right.
I totally missed that.
Okay, I noticed that instantly. I was like, I even leaned over to my wife. I'm like, he looks younger now. Like I didn't know what it was. I thought he had opened himself to the Force again since talking to Yoda, so maybe he got younger for it.
Oh.
I mean,
no, that's a great call.
That's what I thought.
That totally went over my head. That was great.
Now we can talk about,
Yeah. So they're ordered to bombard his position with all the guns, and they just shoot all these cannons at him. They're like, I don't know what's going to happen.
What is going on? After they just bombard him, I'm like, how did he...
So then the biggest groaner of the whole movie, for me, was when Luke brushed off his shoulder.
Yeah,
to me that was too 21st century.
Bit much, yeah.
Yeah, that was too Earth-like. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that was kind of silly. But yeah, then Kylo decides, you gotta face of myself, but I love those shots when they get down and they both have their lightsabers out. Just the shots of just them two is just
Awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
But I was confused, also about the blue lightsaber. I was like, man,
Yeah,
which even after seeing it, I still wish it was the green one. It's
Me
like,
too.
Because well, think about it. He looked.
That's
I
his.
thought he looked.
Yeah.
I thought he looked younger because Leia, Kylo remember him. Last time they saw him, he was younger, right? So why in the world would he not have the green lightsaber? We saw in every single time they showed Kylo or Luke trying to kill Kylo, it was
Yeah.
a green lightsaber.
Yeah.
So why wasn't it green? And
Yeah,
they knew that the
exactly.
blue lightsaber was destroyed in Snoke's
Yeah.
throne room.
It really didn't make sense to me why it was blue, but yeah, I mean,
Whatever.
basically they don't even touch lightsabers. Kylo tries to get him, Luke's just dodging him.
Yeah.
Even does the Matrix thing.
Yeah.
where he bends his back and everything.
It was cool though.
Yeah,
It
no,
really
definitely.
was.
I mean, the whole thing was just shot amazingly,
Very satisfying.
And then it's just like seems like it's going to be an Obi-Wan situation where he just lets him kill him. He's
Yeah.
like, because even oh, I love it. Even if you strike me down, I'll always be with you, just like your father.
That was
Oh.
awesome.
Chills.
It's rough. It's a rough comment.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like it's gonna cut to the core of me, Baxter, is what Kylo is saying, and also me.
Right.
But yeah, we find out. He tries to strike him down, and you're like, "Oh, what happened?" And then he turn around, and Luke's still there. What's going on? And then Kylo just kind of walks up to him and stabs his lightsaber, and it just goes right through him. No harm done.
It's a force projection.
Yeah, force projection. And they flash to Luke back on the island.
So he does this to give them enough time to escape out of the
which Poe
hole.
figures out. He's like, Skywalker's, trying to
Follow the-
distract him. Yeah.
Follow the crystal foxes or
Yeah.
whatever those
Yeah.
things are to meet up and escape. And we see Luke back on the island. He's
Yep.
in like a pose.
He's in his Jedi robes
Yeah.
again. He's in his pose. He's they flashed him and he's just floating on the
Amazing.
rocks.
He's
And
not
it's
even there.
well, that's what it's like. Oh, they're not going to kill him. They're not going to kill him. But then
And
they
see the
do.
Tatooine Suns. I
Yeah.
thought it was the Tatooine Suns, but I mean,
Well, I mean, it probably
Right.
is. I mean, I would assume so. But yeah.
Is that where he was?
No, he was in Octu.
He was
I mean,
on
but it was
Octu,
two
but-
suns
Yeah, so
again.
to me, it just
What do you
seemed it looked exactly like the
Oh,
Tatooine
yeah, it
Suns.
did.
Well, which I'm sure that's what they're going
Yeah.
for. 'cause
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they played the same.
I thought
music
you
and
meant that he
everything.
was actually there.
No,
so,
no.
But yeah, then they flash that shot of him just floating on the rock, just like you're like, oh my god, he's
It's
not there. One of the best reveals.
Brilliant. And then the robe falls.
Yep, and the rose falls, and right after the music,
Mm-hmm.
his typical music of him staring off at the sunset. It's just amazing. And even when he tells Kylo, "See you around, kid."
Yeah.
Which
So what
is-
happens here? Did he just give himself completely into the Force so that he just expended all of his like
Yeah, I think
earthbound energy? Is that
I think
that's kind of how I
it took
imagine.
everything he had.
Yeah.
It took again, like how Kylo said to Rey, this would kill you to do this because again, just how much power it would take. And then I think he just kind of. He maybe could have held on longer, but I think Jedi are able to just kind of die on their own terms. It seems, because look how Obi-Wan did, and even Yoda did. Seems like they're able
rest,
to.
I must.
Yeah, it seems like they're able to die when they're ready if they want to, like just to become one with the Force. So
Yeah.
I think that's
And
what he did. He's like, all right, it's time to go.
So-
And he
Amazing.
knew Ray. He knew Ray was ready to take over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that
know.
moment. He's like
You're taunting me over here.
Kylo says a bunch of stuff to him, and Luke's like, everything you just said is wrong. First Order or something. And he says, and I am not the last Jedi. And then you see Rey, floating the rocks over. Say
That
what
was
you
pretty
will
cool.
about Rey, but I
Yeah.
love that moment.
That was a good moment.
That's a good moment.
Great,
yeah.
great moment.
Although I guess thinking about that, the score, unless I just missed it, but there was nothing that stood out to me about the score in this movie. It
I mean,
wasn't
obviously
as-
the familiar themes,
Right.
obviously, but yeah, I didn't.
it wasn't as
notice
rousing
anything
to
new.
me. There was nothing new that like.
But it was at least still John Williams.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unlike Rogue One, which wasn't John Williams.
There was
at all.
things off on Rogue One.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I left Rogue One disappointed with the music.
But yeah, I mean, then
I can see that.
I like how Rey and Carrie, Leia, both feel that Luke is gone. He said, but it was peaceful, which is a good moment between them.
yeah, it was nice.
And then then they go off, because they were able to escape. And then even I like that scene where Rey and Kylo have that one last connection, and they're kind of looking at each other, and then Rey's just like, nope. And just shuts the door and just like, all right, I'm done with you. Like, I gave you your chance. Now we're done. And then we get to Broom Kid. Final ending. Again, I liked this much more the second time.
Loved it the first time.
Yeah. So I mean, that's. Well, I mean, how did you? I didn't ask you. How did you feel about it the first?
Yeah,
time?
I thought it was cool. I think you guys were moved a little more than I was, but I liked it. It showed it's the continuation of you look out to the stars and there's hope. More than just your little life in this place you are.
Yeah.
You can be something more and do something more than wherever you're at now.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I was gonna say you got to remember, Dave. Star Wars is a C-chord thing.
Yeah,
it runs in the
It
family.
just touches. It just touches us.
But I thought I saw it in the first time I saw it, like him grabbing the broom with the Force. But I obviously definitely saw it the second time. But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show, no matter how thin the rebellion gets, there's always going to be somebody that's going to fight against evil.
I mean, I literally had the same chills for the Broom Kid as I did for Luke in Force Awakens.
Oh wow!
And those were strong.
Yeah,
those are strong goosebumps.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was a nice calling back to this kid. I mean, it was a weird going to that planet was kind of strange, but getting back to that, if it was worth it, then yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, that's our thoughts on Last Jedi. I mean, it's a lot to talk about. I'm sure we could go a lot longer on this. What's just final thoughts and rating, Dave? How would you rate this film?
Well, I think like I said in the beginning, I need to just put my expectations down a bit. I liked it. The stuff I didn't like, it's hard to judge this now. It's hard to judge it as I would a movie that a non-Star Wars movie. But I'll just to throw out something, I don't have anything prepared, but I'll give it 2.5 stars and 3.5 buckets of popcorn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how would you rate this film?
Well, I'm a Star Wars nut, but I don't know, something was off with it. The whole the comedy really got me off, and then the whole thing with Snoke. I know we didn't know anything about the Emperor until prequels in 2001 or whatever, but at the same time, it wasn't right. So I'd say for stars, 3.75, which I know doesn't count. So 4. We'll go 4 stars.
3 points. No, you can do whatever you got to do.
Okay, 4 stars. But I mean, for entertainment value, popcorn, it has to be. Oh man, it's hard. 4. We'll go 4.
Okay, 4 and 4. 4 and 4. All right. Yeah, I mean, this movie again. I think it's my least favorite of the new movies so far. But which is still doesn't mean it's a bad movie or anything because I just love Rogue One, and Force Awakens. But yeah, it had its flaws. Had issues. With like you said with comedy and just the whole Finn and Rose stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff is really good, and the bad stuff is really bad.
It's like.
I give this thing 3.5 stars and 4 buckets of popcorn.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably.
I mean, I think it's high, but I think get it.
I think entertainment value is good. It's just the star. It's not the.
It's long.
It's so hard.
I mean, 4 buckets of popcorn. Yeah, the length of it is definitely noticeable.
It's way too long.
Yeah, it's definitely noticeable. So I might,
especially the parts that Rose and Finn. I mean,
When I go to see it a second time, all I care about is Luke and Rey, and then Snoke and Kylo and Rey.
Yeah, and if I see it on Blu-ray, I'll probably just fast forward. Through
totally
the stuff I don't. The stuff
I'm probably just going to watch the special features and be done with it.
I'm going to watch. I'm going to see it again.
Of course you will.
We're going to see it together. I'm in Florida.
Yes, let's do it. All right. That's it. All right. Let's just end the show, guys.
Nice knowing you.
Yep. Nice knowing you. Thanks for guesting today, Matt.
It's a C-chord thing. It's a brother thing.
Apparently. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on iTunes. Subscribe on
Do it
YouTube.
all. YouTube. Hey.
For Davo and Matt, I'm Ben Secord, and as always, grab some popcorn, grab some snack. We'll catch you guys
at the movies.
Do you want to say it?
At the movies!
All right.